Today we will be teaching about the preparation of salts. Firstly, knowledge about the solubility of salts is important in their preparation. All nitrates, group 1 salts, and ammonium salts are soluble. Most chlorides are soluble except for AgCl and PbCl2. A similar trend follows for bromides and iodides. Most sulfates are soluble except for BaSO4, CaSO4 and PbSO4. Most carbonates, metal oxides, and metal hydroxides are insoluble, except those of group 1 metals and those with the ammonium group. Note that although calcium oxide, calcium hydroxides and calcium sulfate are generally insoluble, they become slightly soluble in hot water. The methodology to preparing salts differs, depending on whether the salt to be prepared is insoluble or soluble. The methods differ in the states of reactants as well as which reactant is limiting or in excess. The selection criteria is that the preparation of the salt should be visibly obvious. For the preparation of an insoluble salt, it will be formed as a precipitate. To ensure easy separation of the product from the reaction mixture, the reactants would have to be soluble salts containing the ions needed to form the insoluble salt product. The other cation and anion in the reactants is usually a group 1 ion and a nitrate respectively, so that they form a soluble salt that does not contaminate the insoluble salt. Once formed, the insoluble salt can then be obtained by filtration. The unreacted reactants will be the filtrate, whereas the residue would be the insoluble salt. Note that a solid reactant cannot be used to prepare the insoluble salt, because the insoluble salt product will coat the reactant during the reaction process and prevent it from reacting further, resulting in a low yield of salt. For the preparation of a soluble salt, one of the reactants needs to be in the solid state and in excess. The other reactant, which is soluble, has to be limiting. This is to ensure that the soluble reagent has been used up entirely when the solid reactant does not react further. Upon filtration, the filtrate will only contain a pure, uncontaminated sample of the soluble salt product that we want. The salt can then be obtained using the process of salt crystallization. Let's go through a guided example. For instance, we want to prepare magnesium carbonate. First we ask ourselves, is it soluble or insoluble? After having decided that it is insoluble, we can then decide on the reactants to be used. Both MgNO3 and Na2CO3 are suitable reagents as they are soluble. The insoluble MgCO3 will be precipitated out while the remaining reactants remain in aqueous state. Filtration can then be done where magnesium carbonate would be the residue. An exception to the methodology in preparing soluble salts would be that of NaNO3. Based on methodology, we have to pick one reactant that is insoluble. However, that is not possible since all nitrates and all sodium salts are soluble. In such situation, the soluble salt has to be prepared by titration. The updated methodology flowchart is as shown.